Welcome to the Over the Barricade podcast, where two wayward wrestling fans rediscover their lost passion for professional wrestling through the revolution that is AEW. Each week, we will take you on an in-depth review of the events of Dynamite and Rampage, as well as provide to you our pick of the week and thoughts for the future development and growth of AEW. Here are your hosts, Quidman Jenkins and Pacific 414. That guy right there, 414. What's up, everybody? We are back, Over the Barricade podcast. We are still going to call it Over the Barricade podcast, but it's a new year, and we're going to be doing things a little bit differently around here. You see, going forward, turn my light on. Going forward, we are going to be focused solely on YouTube content. That's it. We're not worried about Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, any of that, no more. Honestly, I am a video person. I like video. I like making videos. I like working on graphics. And I worked on all these graphics. I worked on all these things. And I continue to work on them every week. Just for nobody to see them because we don't promote the channel. Why am I doing that, Pacific?
I don't know, brother.
Why would I do that?
Why are you doing that?
Why would I do that?
Why are you doing... I don't know. I really don't know.
Precious minutes and hours wasted. Why did I go through the trouble? You know? So ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to be doing going forward. Also, you'll see I got the new it's not new anymore, but it's new to me, damn it. Hangman Adam Page t-shirt, rocking that. Happy to have it. Got it for Christmas. Got this in a Kenny Omega shirt for Christmas. But going forward, we're going to be focused on YouTube content. That's right. We're going to be doing our live broadcast like we always do, but it's going to be on YouTube, not Twitch. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing highlights from the broadcast. We'll make up our weekly content. And, you know, maybe at some point we might even have some bonus content in there. Anything's possible. It's a new year and a new world for Over the Barricade podcast. And again, I am still leaving in the podcast part of it. Let me see something.
You know what it is, brother?
What's that?
It's wanting to start off the new year with a bang. It's wanting to make sure that Over the Barricade becomes number one, the top dog when it comes to Over the Barricade, when it comes to AEW, wrestling in general. We want to be the top dog. We want to let you know the good, the bad, the ugly, the past, present, and future of AEW. We want to know our thoughts, our opinions. You may like it, you may not like it, but we will give it to you right here.
That's right. And we're going to be the AEW content creation champions at the end of the day. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to be.
At the end of the day, the tag team of Quidman Jenkins and Pacific 414 will take the wrestling podcast by storm.
That's right. Jungle Boy Luchasaurus, Tarzan, we coming for you. Anyway, so with that being said, it is good to be back. So let me give you guys a little recap on what happened here for us. So, I got both my flu shot and my COVID booster on the same day. Now, let me just put a little bit of advice out there for anybody, okay? Because I took both of the COVID vaccines, both of them. I didn't have a single problem. You've heard of people having side effects. I had nothing. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel a thing. So I was thinking, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Do not.
You had a tag team go after you and pretty much beat you down in the ring.
Boy, I went in a tag team match, player. Except my partner didn't show up, and I ended up going up against Kane and the Undertaker. I mean, it was rough, dude. It was rough. I thought I had been hit by a truck. So yes, I do not recommend it. They say it's safe. It's perfectly safe and fine, but it might not be the most pleasant thing for you. So I would recommend get your COVID booster, and then, you know, maybe like a week later or something like that, get your flu shot if you want to get the flu shot, whatever. But, yeah, I was just, the damn pharmacist lady sold me on it. She's like, oh, would you like to get your flu shot too? I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to this wrestling thing. I work from home, so my immune system is not very strong anymore. See, I used to work at a bank and I used to handle money, and my immune system was strong. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to go to Battle of the Belts. I work from home. My immune system's low. Let me get both of them. Long story short, that doesn't matter. I felt horrible, so we took a week off. And then, unfortunately, that was actually going to be our last broadcast before the holiday break. So we took that week off, we took Christmas week off, and we took New Year's off. But we are back in it. And for right now, we're going to be focused on the most recent week. But later in the show, we're going to be doing our recap over, it's a general recap of things that we liked, things we didn't like. Because even though we weren't here, we still watched. So we will be covering everything and what that means for the future. What does that mean for the future? And of course, later tonight, I will be there in person at Battle of the Belts here in Charlotte, North Carolina. All right. Wow.
And here's my question, because I'm gonna ask for all the audience members at home. Are we gonna see highlights? Come on, man. Tell me, are we gonna see highlights? Your own personal highlights from the event.
I might get some pictures. Here's the deal. So I tried to get tickets to this thing, like the best that I could. I don't know who in Charlotte is. There it is. You predicted it. I don't know who in Charlotte is the AEW fanatic here, but it was next to impossible to get good tickets to this. And I'm going to go in and make you a mod real quick. It was next to impossible to get good tickets to this. How do I make you a mod?
You should be able to right click on my username and it should give you the option to make me a mod.
Let's see. Add moderator. Pacific 414 is now a moderator in your chat.
That's right.
Do you feel the power flowing through you? You have been presented with the title, good sir. You have been presented with the title.
I am now a moderator here on this channel. So if anybody wants to send a spam bot, guess what? You're going to have to face me, and I'm going to take you down.
That's right. Pacific 414 is now the OTB moderation champion. And that title is not going to be changing hands anytime soon.
Nope.
All right. But anyway, so let's go ahead and I'll probably get some pictures or something because the seats that I got were not great. I wanted to get great seats and I was ready to pay the money for it too, dude. I had my bank account ready to go. I was like, let me get them good seats. I want front row. Those things did not last at all. They went fast.
I'm not surprised. Really.
Well, and
people want to go out. People want to be entertained, and that's what AEW is doing.
When it's not even just that, it's nowadays everything's scalped. You can't get anything. It's all scalped. And so that's unfortunate. You know, it's scalped and resold at a higher price, but it is what it is, you know. It's fine. I got seats. I'm not in like the balcony. I'm in the mezzanine, so like it's not great. It's not bad. I might get some pictures, but I don't think I'm going to be getting any good quality videos. I'm really excited for the house show. There's going to be there's going to be 1 hour broadcast with the 3 matches they've announced. And then there's going to be another hour because the show actually starts at 7 locally. So we're going to have an hour of house show matches. That's what I'm really excited for. I was really excited for Sammy versus Cody. To be clear, I am very excited to get to see Dustin Rhodes perform live one more time in my lifetime. Because wasn't he at the SmackDown that we were at?
Yes,
he was because I have a picture of him.
And he was also at the first Raw that I went to.
So yeah, you know, somebody like him, at this point where we are in the timeline, you're not going to get to see too many more live performances of him. So I am very grateful to be able to see him in what really is his prime, if you think about it. He is better now than he's ever been. So I'm very excited for that. But before we get into that too much further, where do we start with this week? Wow. We left off last year talking about how we needed to see more consistency and better shows. And man, I tell you what, it sure feels like AEW has left that in 2021.
Definitely. I mean, even when we were on our hiatus, I was watching some of the matches and I'm going, all right, they've upped their game. Now, will it continue?
Yes,
That remains to be
that's
seen.
the
This year is still fresh, so we still have to wait and see during the course of the year, what they're going to do.
absolutely, absolutely. And but like you said though, I was very pleased with the content while we were gone. For the most part, I think there were a few things. The only thing I wasn't really happy about was and we'll talk about this when we get to the ratings a little bit more, so I won't even go into that. But yeah, I've been generally very pleased with the turnaround in the content while we've been gone. I think it's been really solid, good stuff, and I'm
Mhm.
happy with it. I'm very, very happy with it. And this week was a great continuation. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say it because it was the first match on the show. Stop opening with the world title. Stop. Stop. Stop doing that. Cut it.
I I realize what they're trying to do. They're trying to get the show off to a hot start. But your world title is your main event title. It should be in the main event. Don't pull a WWE and have your Universal or WWE Championship in the beginning. And this isn't the first time that they've put Heyman Adam Page and Brian Danielson in the opening match. They did it a few weeks ago.
Yep. And that's the issue that I have is that they're continuing to do this and it's a habit. I don't like it. But my wife even mentioned it. She was like, "Why would they do that?" Like my wife is not a wrestling fan at all. She does not like wrestling, but she understood why they wouldn't want to do that. And here's my things. One, you know, the idea is that Brian Danielson and Adam Page are your kayfabe, statistically speaking, those are your two top guys. Those are your two people that if somebody new was to tune into this program, that's who you would say, oh, well, if you want to watch anybody, you want to watch these guys because they're the top two guys in the company. So they're tuning into your program. They're saying, all right, we're going to sit down for an AEW broadcast. Oh, first match of the show, we got the top two guys. Well, that's all I have to watch. I don't have to wait for it. Make them wait. Make them wait
Yeah.
for your top guys. Make them wait. They will wait.
If you
Advertise
want to
it.
be a rating success, and I have no experience in TV, but I'm speaking as a fan right now. If you want any ratings success, especially when you're competing against the likes of WWE, make the fans at home wait. Make the fans in the arena wait for that big match you've been hyping up so bad.
Yeah. You
Don't just give it to them in the opening match.
mm-mm.
It's going to kill the rest of the show.
It does, and it does. And that's the other thing. That's point number two. So point number one, these are supposed to be the people that everybody wants to wait for. These are supposed to be the top two guys. Okay? They're supposed to get top billing. Top billing doesn't mean top of the show. It means main event. The second problem is, what did you just say? I forgot. I already forgot.
I was talking about how they're supposed to be your top two guys. Don't be like WWE and have the world title matches open up your show. Make the fans wait. Whether it's in the arena or at home, make them wait. Give them the reason that you've been trying to give them by promoting these matches to watch your show. WWE could beat you in the ratings because you've decided, okay, here's the main event. We're going to give it to you right now. And then everybody's going to leave.
Yeah,
Once that main event match is done, when it becomes the opening match, people are going to leave because they have no incentive to stay tuned.
agreed. And so, that's another point of mine is you're by putting this match on first, because traditionally in wrestling cards, the higher up on the card your match is, higher up meaning, closer to the main event for those of you who may not be aware. But the higher up on the card your match is in the main event, the more important you are. The more important you are, the more important that match is. So by putting Page versus Danielson on first, you are by nature saying, hey, see our world title right there? You see our top two people in the company right there? Yeah. Brian Pillman versus Malachi Black is way more important than that. Way more important than that. That's what you're saying. So I don't
That's
like that.
exactly what they're saying.
I don't like that. And you're killing the build. You're definitely killing the build. I was saying, let's see, make people wait to see them. Oh yes, no, now I remember. You interfere with the progression of the show. When you open up your show with a match like that, which was I don't want to say 5-star. I don't want to feel like I'm getting too hyped, because it was definitely up there. If it wasn't a 5-star, I give it 4.5. And
I give it a 4.
it was really good. It was really good. But when you open up the show with something like that, sure, you're getting everybody excited. You're getting everybody, glad to be there and everything, and that's awesome. But you ruin the mid card. You ruin that meat of the sandwich. You see what I'm saying? Because your opening and your main event, that's your bread. You eat a sandwich without bread and you're going to feel empty inside. Doesn't matter what your meats are, you're going to feel empty inside because you don't have that thick substance. Your opener and your main event are the bread. But
Well, remember what happened at Full Gear when Darby Allin and MJF opened up the pay-per-view.
exactly.
And look at how that affected the rest of the pay-per-view.
Yep.
Especially when it came to the title match between Kai Conti and DMB, Dr. Britt Baker.
Yep. And the thing is that when you get the bread too thick, you can't taste the meat of the sandwich because you got too much bread. Your opening match, it should be good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you should have a bad opening match. But it shouldn't be one of the, consistently one of the best matches. Consistently one of the best matches. Make sure that we're clear on that. I'm not saying that you can't have every once in a while the opening match steal the show. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they are going into this broadcast with the intention, multiple weeks, that the opening match is going to be the best match on the show. That causes progression problems. It causes importance and relevance problems. I'm just saying. Do you see WWE opening with Roman Reigns defending the title? No, you don't see that, because you know why? Because you want to see Roman Reigns defend the title. You finna wait. You're gonna wait.
Yep.
I don't want to see Roman Reigns defend the title. To be clear, I don't want to see it. I wouldn't wait for that, because that just sounds like a bad time to me. But I do want to see Adam Page defend the title. I do want to see Bryan Danielson challenge for the title. I'll wait for that. You put that on at the end of the show, I'll wait for it. You could put that on at a 30-minute post-show special. You could be like, we're going to have our show, and then after 30 minutes of our next broadcast, we're going to have a special. I will wait. I will sit there through 30 minutes of the next program and wait to see that. I wouldn't change the channel. I would sit there and wait for it.
No, it's like when you go into a restaurant. I know not everybody does, but most people will start off with an appetizer before they eat their main meal.
I love me some mozzarella sticks.
Their main meal, they'll take that first bite, and that first bite is supposed to entice people to want more, especially if it's well prepared. So if you take that first bite and it doesn't taste very good, you're going to send it back.
I agree wholeheartedly. But with that being said, all those issues aside, this was a great match. This was a great way, and I get what they wanted to do. They wanted to start off 2022 with a bang. It's the first match on TBS, so I get that. But I just think that there were other things they could have done. I also understand based on the main event, but I have something to say about that. You didn't need both those matches on this show. You have a not a pay-per-view, but you have a special event coming up this Saturday, today, called Battle of the Belts. And let's see, the top 2 matches of the show were a World Championship match and a Tag Team Championship match. And you have a show called Battle of the Belts where champions are defending their titles. Oh, wow, you could have put one of those on Battle of the Belts, this special that's on a day that you don't normally run your shows on, something maybe to get the people to watch.
Do we really need to see the FTW title defended tonight?
Let me be clear. I'm actually happy about that. I'm happy about that. Not necessarily because of the FTW title being defended, but I'm just glad to see Ricky Starks perform. I think that's just a nice little extra. I think the thing is, I think that what they had planned on was to have Cody and Sammy go for a longer match. But now that Cody's out of it and it's going to be Dustin, I think they're cutting that match short just a little bit. And then putting in Ricky versus... who is it? Matt Sydal. Just to give the fans who paid money a little bit extra, to say like, hey, we're sorry. We know this isn't what you paid for. We're going to give you something extra. And I respect that. But ultimately, I would happily have given up Cody versus Sammy and Ricky Starks versus Matt Sydal to get either of the championship matches we saw on Wednesday. I just don't feel like you needed both of them. It's going to potentially lead to what I like to call the 50 Cent effect. For those who don't know, rapper 50 Cent debuted with his hit album Get Rich or Die Tryin', which is widely regarded as one of the greatest rap albums of all time because there was not a track that you would skip on it. It's one of my favorite albums. I like all kinds of music, rap included, and that album is just cover to cover a fantastic album. The problem is he put every single one of his best songs on that album, and nothing he did after it ever compared. The 50 Cent effect. You don't put all your best stuff on one outlet, I guess. One show, one outlet,
you
one card.
spread it out over a period of time.
Spread it out. Yep. And I just think that either one of those title matches, if you put either one of them, because you either have fans saying, oh, I want to tune into Battle of the Belts to see the world title defended because they put on a great show the first time, second one's going to be great. Or you have the fans say, ooh, I'm going to tune in because Jurassic Express might finally win the tag titles and I want to be watching when it happens. Either way, you instantly guarantee ratings boost for Saturday night. Again, a night where you don't typically have content. I just think they just ham-handed the whole presentation of it, to be honest with you.
I can see where you're coming from.
And just for the record, I love that phrase, ham-handed. But anyway, moving on. Opening match was fantastic. Can't say anything bad about it aside from just that it wasn't needed to be on the show. Either that or the tag match. One of them. Take one of them off. But other than that, it was a very solid show all around. I think it's nice to see the Acclaimed start to get some wins. You know, we've seen them lose pretty consistently, but they're very over. I think they're very over with the crowd. And honestly, I remember the first time I saw them, I was like, okay, these guys can be good, but they need a little work. They're putting in the work.
Yeah, they're putting in the work. They're finding their footing, and it's paying dividends right now.
Yeah, so I'm very happy to be seeing them. They've been able to work with a lot of top people. That's continuing to be a thing. Very happy to see where this continues to go, and I think they definitely don't have a tag title run in the near future, just because in AEW the tag team titles work very differently than they do in other companies. Because in other companies, you kind of get the feel of any given team could win the belts. In AEW, it's the line is thick. It is a thick line between champion and, you know, not even a contender. There's champion, contenders, and then there's like fodder, to put it for lack of a better word. But it's a very thick line. There's a lot of contenders. So I think they still have a ways to go, because in the near future you're going to see Jurassic Express hold the titles. And, you know, I think Malachi Black's going to get another guy for his House of Black. I think it's going to be, what's his name? Brody King or something like that.
Well, even at the end, when Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy captured the tag titles, you saw what happened at the end. All of AEW's tag teams came out from the back, and they were standing on top of that stage as if to say, we're coming for those belts.
Yep. Coming for the straps.
So there's probably going to be some sort of tag tournament to determine the next number one contender to face Jurassic Express for the title.
That's how I would book it. That would be incredible. And, you know, another big name that has been rumored for weeks, and we've been waiting for it, are the Briscoes gonna end up coming to AEW. And boy, if them boys show up, I'm gonna lose it.
This would be the opportune time for them to show up.
Remind me when we get to the main event. Remind me, say Briscoes, okay? Remind me to talk about the Briscoes, because I have a seething criticism for one of the weeks when I think it was Winter is Coming. I have a seething criticism for it. It might not have been Winter is Coming. It might have been a different one, but it was one of them while we were on our break, and I was livid. But anyway, so yeah, it's good to see the Acclaimed doing some stuff. Let's see, we had Jade versus Ruby. So here's the deal. Jade has finally been in some real matches, and she's been up against some people who are, quality top female wrestlers in wrestling today. She's still got some work to do. She does still have some work to do. But personally, I'm not mad about her winning the title.
Oh, neither am I. I could see why they didn't put Ruby Soho over Jade. I
Yeah,
could see why they went with the homegrown talent over Ruby.
right.
Because Jade deserves it. She's been busting her butt.
Yeah, and she
You
really
know what I
has.
was about to say, but
Yeah. No, hey, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, you could say ass. Say ass.
all right, She's been busting her ass,
There you go.
week in and week out. She has been busting her ass.
Yep. That's it. She
She
has
deserves
worked
this title
hard.
win.
She has worked hard. Is she still a little bit off? Is she still not quite there? Yeah, absolutely. But you look at that match versus Ruby, or the match she had versus, I think it wasn't Thunder Rosa. It was the one before that. I think it was versus Red Velvet or something. But she's had a string of
Yeah, I
good,
think it was.
decent matches. Like, not bad.
Yeah, it's
She's
all
been
coming
working.
together.
Yeah,
It's
she's been
all
working on it.
coming together. The
So
layers are stacking upon each other, and it's coming together.
exactly. And here's the thing I think a lot of people don't understand is that when you were doing what she was originally doing, which was the squash matches, that does not give her a lot of time to work on anything. It doesn't give her, because the thing is, you could practice all day long, but the best experience is experience. So, getting her in the TBS championship role, she's going to be taking on the top mid card women contenders. And that's going to give her an opportunity to work longer matches. And it's going to give her an opportunity to work against, more talented individuals who can kind of rub off on her a little bit. I think it's going to be good for her. I think she is going to be a really good female contender for years to come in AEW. I think she's going to work. It looks like she cares. People, what do I always say? As long as the individual cares about doing a good job, give them time, and they will. Now, when you have somebody who is, a football player reject who just couldn't cut it in the NFL, and they're just here because they got a body and they want to make money off of it. That kind of person. What was the guy's name? It was Mason Ryan, I think, in WWE. That guy did not care.
You have to care. I mean, whether you're a fan, whether you're a professional wrestler, you have to care about what you're doing. You have to care about the product that's being presented to you. You have to care about your in ring work. And all the years of wrestling that I've watched, you can tell who cares and who could, you know, care less.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, with all that being said, Jade versus Ruby, it did feel very stiff in several spots. There were some really ugly spots in there, I'm going to be honest with you. But as a match as a whole, would I watch it again? Yeah, I would watch it again. I would. But yeah, I think she's putting in the work and it shows. So I give her credit for that. It's not easy to improve in something. It's really not.
I mean,
But
you watch wrestling long enough, you can tell when someone's working on their in ring work and when they're not.
absolutely. Oops. I agree. I agree, and she's definitely working on it. Then we had. So I'm gonna say something that people may agree with or disagree with. Varsity Blondes need to break up.
I, I'm gonna say this, and I know I'm probably gonna get some hate for it. But I can't stand it when they're on the mic. I cannot stand it when they're cutting a promo.
I'll be able to keep going.
I I just can't. It drives me nuts each and every time they're on the mic.
Yeah,
You know, I go and I grab my remote and I put it on mute and I look at the captions.
it's the opposite of MJF.
Yeah.
They're the anti Maxwell. But yeah, no, the Varsity Blondes. Here's the deal. Okay, this is your classic Rock and Roll Express. Not Rock and Roll Express. Shawn Michaels and Marty. What was the tag team? Was it Rock and Roll Express?
I thought it was Rock and Roll
It might be.
Express.
Look, I'm gonna level with you, dude. I woke up at 10:30. So I am still not even within 2 hours being awake, and I've only just finished my first cup of coffee. So, but anyway, the point is, it's your classic. One of these guys is great, and one of them's not. Brian Pillman Jr. If you give this man the time, the resources, and the ability to discover himself, he will return your investment in spades. This kid is going to be something. I don't know if he's going to be quite the impact his father was. That remains to be seen. But what I do know is that this kid can do it. This kid can really do something if you give him the chance to. I was really upset that they didn't give him more time against MJF. I thought that was going to be really good for him, and that was one of the better short programs between All Out and Full Gear, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think they
know,
need to give him some time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In my opinion, I think they're rushing him. They're making him go too quick up the ranks. You've got to give him time to develop not only his in-ring ability, but his in-ring character.
That's the one for me. His in-ring ability, I think, is pretty solid. Again, is it like top level? No, obviously not. So he does need to develop that a little bit more. But I do think his in-ring ability is enough to carry him at like a TNT level, perhaps, maybe not quite. But I do think that the main thing he needs to be working on is finding himself. Who are you? Because and this is unfortunate to say, but you can't just be Brian Pillman's son.
No, he
That's
can't
not
live
gonna.
in the shadows of his father.
It's not gonna
Brian
get you through
Pillman
everything.
was a unique individual.
Yep.
You got to separate yourself from your father. You got to walk your own path, create your own career.
Because here's the deal.
You can't live off what your father did day in and day out.
No.
I'm not saying he's trying to do it. I'm trying to say that it's AEW that's trying to make him walk in the shadow of his father.
Because here's the thing. That worked for the MJF feud. But it won't work again. And it's not going to work with anybody, with everybody. You know, MJF is a special individual, and he can make just about anything work. But you know, he did a great job with that, and he made it a very good program for as short as it was. But yeah, it's not going to work with everybody, and it needs to, what's the word I'm looking for? He needs to find something about himself to be unique about Brian Pillman Jr. Everybody knows about Brian Pillman. Everybody knows everything about that. Okay, especially after the Dark Side of the Ring special, we know all about it. And we know you're his son. We know that. But tell us something we don't know about you. That's what I want to tune in and see.
Yep. Tell us why we should be glued to our television sets, glued to our, phones, our tablets, and tell us why we should watch highlights of your match. Watch your matches live, whether it be on TV or in person. What is it about you that's going to grab our attention?
Because, I mean, you got your world champion, Hangman Adam Page. I got his t-shirt on right now. I got the action figure right here. We know what we like about Adam Page. You know, he's got his signature catchphrases.
You're my favorite
Cowboy shit.
That's it. Like, he's got his deputy and everything. Like, he's got everything. Like, he's got a snake in his boot, all these things. We know what we like about Hangman Adam Page. He's found himself, and he's just living in it. And I think even he still has a little bit of character development to do, but we'll talk about that on another time. But yeah, you just need to do something that makes you stand out, makes you you. But enough about that. Let's talk about the main event of Dynamite. What a tag match. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was a great tag match. First of all.
Yes, it was.
So because here's the thing. I told you before the show, folks, and this is a big compliment. I said that match gave Bryan Danielson versus Adam Page a run for its money. That is saying something. That was a great tag match. I might even give the tag match 4 stars, if not 3.5.
Well, that would have been a great opening match. That's how you say, okay, here's the first course, but wait, more's coming.
Honestly, I don't disagree with the idea with the option to end the show on the tag match. Because you had the whole tag team roster come out, so it's not that I disagree with that. I just think that you didn't need both those matches on the same show. You either end the show with that or you end the show with the world title, but you don't have both on the same show unless it's a pay-per-view.
Well,
I
I was
just
going
think
to
it was too much.
say, do you think they should have just saved it for a pay per view? Give it
Honestly,
greater impact. Give it that impact where, oh, you didn't watch the pay per view. Well, look at what you missed out on.
no. I think they should have saved it for tonight, and that's not me being selfish. That's me saying this is a special.
Selfish.
No, this is your first Battle of the Belts ever. This is your first one. Okay? And on top of that, it's on a night where you don't normally have programming. It's a 1 hour special. So people are going to be like, okay, why am I going to spend 1 hour of my Saturday night watching live instead of watching a replay? Why would I do it? And right now, they don't have a reason to. But if you would have saved either one of those two matches, you'd have given them a reason to. So I think you either save the world title match for it or you save the tag title match for it. But they both didn't need to be there because they were both such wonderful matches. There was no need to have both of them on the same show. The show wouldn't have taken any damage. Still would have been a great show.
And I'll be honest, talking about tonight's Battle of the Belts, even with the FTW being on the card, the women's title on the card, the TNT championship on the card, I still really don't have an incentive to watch.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm really kind of disappointed. I don't want to say disappointed, but I'm disappointed. Like when I bought the tickets, I was thinking, okay, this is Battle of the Belts. It means we're gonna see the titles defended. The graphic had all the champions up there, so I'm like, this is gonna be good. And then, they announced nothing for a very long time. And then we get closer and closer, and they start announcing these championship matches, and I'm like, wait a minute. You have Battle of the Belts coming up. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this right now? Why are you putting this here? You have this thing coming up. What are you doing? I'm a little
Well, it's like
disappointed.
what we've talked about before with the feuds, how, they wait till 2 weeks before the pay per view, a week before the pay per view to start a feud. And that's just not how you're going to get me sold. Come on.
No.
Tony, come on.
Yep. I agree. But I am excited for Dr. Britt Baker versus Riho. So I'm very excited for that.
All right. All right. I'm going to save and let you know later who I think is going to win that match.
Okay. Good plan. Well, with that, I really don't feel like there was anything on Rampage that I need to go in detail on, other than Hook continuing to be one of the just real great talking points of every week. You kind of just look forward to seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested to watch him grow.
He's doing well. Of course, he should be doing well because of who his father is, the
Yep.
human suplex machine.
And I'm glad
Taz.
they're highlighting that too. I'm glad that they are highlighting that. You should. Your dad is Taz. It should be known. Again, but see, here's the difference. They're talking about how he's Taz's son, but his whole gimmick isn't circled around being Taz's son. He's not Taz's son. He's Hook. It's a little bit easier for him because he's not named, Taz Jr. But yeah, no, it's Hook, and he's here, and he's gonna kill you. And I love everything about his presentation. I love his song that he's using. I love his walk. I love how when he gets into the ring, he just stands in the corner and doesn't even look at his opponent. Everything. They are doing it perfect. So I really like that. But
And getting to Rampage, I really wish they would find something, important for Eddie Kingston to do. I feel like he's being wasted right now.
I agree. I really agree. I honestly, I think what they really need, and I know everybody hates this, but I'm not saying they need a roster split. I'm not saying it needs to be a roster split, but what I am saying is I think you need to have Dynamite be your world title and your women's TBS title, and Rampage needs to be your TNT title and your women's championship. Now, you can flip that and have it be your women's championship and your TNT title. That's fine too, because you got Dr. Britt Baker DMD in there ready to put on main event quality matches. You need to add a second hour to Rampage, make it be that is their show. Now, just because that's their show doesn't mean that you have to be on one or the other. You could be on both of them. But you need to give it an identity, in my opinion. In my opinion, you need to give it some sort of an identity. But that's just where I
Well,
stand
just
on
like
that.
Raw and SmackDown had their identity early on.
Yeah.
Raw was the main show, SmackDown was the B show.
Yep. Absolutely. But that's just where I stand on that. We'll see. And I think you could have Hook be one of those guys that just Rampage is where you see him. And that is what they're doing right now. If you want to watch Hook, you got to watch Rampage. So I do like that. But let's see. With that, let's go ahead and grade the week. Now, obviously, we are grading before Battle of the Belts tonight. There's two reasons that we're doing this. One, I don't want to do this on Sunday. Two, because I think that it's only fair that we grade this week in accordance with how we grade any week. The average week does not have a third show. It does not have 4 hours of programming unless it's a special Grand Slam week or something like that. So with that, Pacific, what do you grade this week's Dynamite and Rampage?
I'm giving it a solid B.
Stern as always. I expect nothing less.
Hey, that's my reputation. Whether it's over here on Over the Barricade or over on my own channel, I will tell you exactly how I feel. You may agree, you may disagree. That's fine, but
Keep going.
that's that's where I'm going. If I really enjoy something, you'll know it. You'll see it on my face. If I don't enjoy something, you will see it on my face. You will hear it in my voice. And I will give you an example. The reason why I'm not giving this week a solid A is simply due to the fact that my biggest sticking point for AEW is opening their shows with the world title. The world title is your main event title, and that's where it belongs. It doesn't belong in the opening match, it doesn't belong in the lower card of your pay per view, your television broadcast. It needs to be in the main event. If you have a guy like Brian Danielson going against Adam Page and you're promoting them as your main eventers, that's where they should be in your main event. They should be your top draw at all times. They should be the reason why butts are in the seats.
That's fair. I won't argue with it. I won't argue with it. I am gonna go with an A minus. An A minus, because while I did disagree with the placement, at the end of the day, we still had two really solid matches in the opening and the closer. I thought that the middle of the show was not lacking. I didn't think it was particularly standout enough to get a solid A, but it was certainly not lacking in any means. And then on top of that, in Rampage, I really enjoyed the little bit we got of Hook. I liked the Adam Cole baby. Speaking of which, I got this little number for Christmas right here. So I'm really excited to check
Nice.
that out. The 3-disc Ring of Honor collection. It's got some great matches on here, I'm sure. I can't wait to watch. So we got Adam Cole. We got the tag match at the end of Rampage was good. Yeah, honestly, just a lot of really good things. And I didn't feel like they did enough wrong to go lower than an A. So yeah, but ultimately, again, I think a little bit more would have been an A. But since the main meat was not bad, but not great, but it was good, I'm gonna go with A minus for mine.
Well, another reason I'm giving this show a B, and we talked about it before we went live, was the fact that during last night's tag match, with DMB and everybody who was involved in that match, they go to picture in picture for a commercial. And then right after picture in picture, they go to an actual commercial. What the hell? I'm not watching wrestling so I can be inundated with ad after ad after ad for products I probably don't give a crap about. I'm there to watch wrestling.
I agree.
Plain and simple. I am there to watch wrestling. So whoever's running the network, you got to realize that fans are tuning in to AEW for wrestling. They're not tuning in for, the Shakaroni or Little Caesar's Pizza or anything else. We're there for wrestling.
Now listen here, son. Don't you talk about my Shakaroni like that. Don't you do it like that. You leave the Shakaroni out of this. Shakaroni has done nothing to you.
It's not the first time I brought it up on this
Now
program.
listen, I'm just here to tell you. I'm just trying to give you some good advice. It would be within your best interest to stop discussing the Shakaroni. I'm just trying to give you the heads up.
All right.
You know.
All right. Well, you better not talk about my calzone either.
Listen, my man here, he's strapped. All right. So watch it.
Okay. All right. All right.
That
Fine.
holster's actually
Fine.
empty. So.
But don't worry. You're not the only one for championship. I do have my championship. I'm ready to put it on the line.
Hey, it's Battle of the Belts. I'm game if you are. We'll fire up the old
right.
SmackDown Here Comes the Pain and have at it.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. No, but well, with that, so we've got our grade. We've got that in. It's time to talk about, as we always do, Pacific. It's a lot of programming this week. It's a whole lot of programming. And with the new year, a lot of people are making more time for their resolutions and less time for watching stuff. So if somebody only had enough time to watch one match, what match should they watch?
Well, they should watch Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson. Those two once again put on an extraordinary match for the second time in a row.
Yep. That's my pick as well. Honestly, the only runner up here was, like I said, the tag match. The tag match was great, and I think, yeah, well, not yet. That's later.
I'm just throwing it out there so I don't forget either.
Okay. I appreciate that. Yeah, the tag match was fantastic, but this match it was so amazing. It was great. I don't even want to say anything else about it because my words are not going to do justice how great these two have been in their two matches that we've seen thus far. I'm really pleased with it. Very, very pleased with it. So, I think less is more on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're a diehard wrestling fan, this was the match for you.
It 100%.
It had everything.
Yep. This was traditional wrestling. This was modern wrestling, innovative wrestling, just hardcore wrestling because of all the blood. Like, it was just everything just rolled up into one nice wrestling burrito. And it was just great. It was just great. Well, again, we've already talked about it pretty good. I think less is more. Let's just say that our words can't do it justice. You need to watch it. And speaking of watching, let's talk about what people haven't been watching, and that is Holiday Rampage.
And it's not the first time in history where wrestling programs aired during a holiday, Christmas and New Year's, and it suffered in ratings. Everybody does. And why? Because people are spending time with their families, as they should be.
100%. It's just, I don't really know what they were thinking. Because again, we've talked about this with the Battle of the Belts being on a Saturday. So you moved Rampage from Christmas Eve to Christmas night. Not really sure what you were doing there. I don't know. First of all, it's a holiday either way, okay? It's a holiday either way. So you're already going to lose ratings, and just because it's a holiday. And then on top of that, you're going to move your program from the night people are familiar with to a night that they're not. Just didn't seem smart to me. And of course it wasn't. The ratings were not great. I want to say they were around 500. Excuse me. Then the following week, this one really puzzled me. This one, I'm not sure why they did it. I think that they sent the message to the TNT officials and they got it backwards. I think maybe they meant to move the New Year's Rampage. I don't know. But all I know is having Rampage on New Year's Eve night is by far, in the time slot that it's in, is a horrible choice. Horrible choice. SmackDown gets away with it. SmackDown's on at 8. You know, nobody's watching the New Year's programs at 8, but from 10 onwards, people are starting to tune into, you know, like Dick Clark, New Year Rockin' Eve, like the local channels, like all these things that they're doing that for the New Year's Eve.
They're at parties.
They're at parties. You know, I personally didn't watch it live. I don't even think I've watched the whole thing yet. I know one thing that happened that I was really happy about. I know one thing that happened on that show that I was ecstatic about. Y'all already know what I'm talking about.
Mm.
Finally.
Thank God they took the strap off.
Finally. Sammy Guevara was not TNT champion.
That title.
And I'm sad because I'm pretty sure he's going to win the interim title tonight. So that kind of sucks. I'm hoping he doesn't. I'm hoping that Dustin wins by some miracle, and then we have another brother versus brother match. But I have a bad feeling he's going to win the interim title tonight because of whatever's wrong with Cody. But,
yeah, probably.
But yeah, man, I was so happy that he finally lost that sucker. Oh my gosh. I can't begin to tell you guys how much he just bores me, honestly. So anyway, but yeah.
He's great in the ring, but
yeah,
his charisma as far as on the mic, and I know I'm one to talk when I do, you know, my own YouTube videos and stuff, but you know, his charisma on the mic isn't there.
No, it's not, like, and he's got no personality.
Where's your personality, kid?
There's no personality. There's no character there. I don't like it, and he's a cheater, so there's that. I don't want to get too far into that though, but yeah, I just don't care for him. Anyway, so yeah, the ratings have definitely been in the tube, down the tube, in the toilet, whatever you want to call it. What was I getting at with this here? Yeah, so I was hosting a get together myself on New Year's. I did a lot of cooking, and we had family over. Didn't get to watch it, so yeah, I just don't think that the idea of what they did was very successful. I don't think it was very smart by any means, but It is what it is. So yeah, ratings have been low. I'm going to do a quick check though and see what the TBS debut of Dynamite did. And we will find out how well they did on their first outing on TBS. Pacific, what's your prediction for this number that I'm about to find?
You know, that's a difficult question because you have to factor in, you know, how many households is TBS in compared to TNT? And how many fans even remember the fact that AEW is now on TBS versus TNT? Yes, AEW has been promoting it heavily that they're moving to TBS, but there are times when people do forget.
There are.
They're creatures of habit.
Absolutely.
They're going to tune into TNT at a specific time to watch a specific block of programming. And when it's not there, it's like, well, let's move on to something else.
Well, you're absolutely right. There are times when people forget. But this was not one of them. I am pleased to report that this week's live AEW Dynamite on TBS drew 1 million viewers. They have debuted with a success.
Now, let's also take a look at the fact that it's been over 20 years since any wrestling program has aired on TBS, the last being WCW Thunder.
Mm-hmm. Very true. This is a few facts. This is up 3.59% from last year's New Year's Smash episode, which drew 975,000. Not bad, not bad. Now, mind you, that's the New Year's Smash Dynamite, not Rampage. So that's really great. Another thing that I wanted to note about the Rampage ratings being low to the holidays, it's taped. It's taped. So people like me who I'm having, you know, like we're having family, I'm cooking, I'm doing all this stuff. Like, I just look at the spoilers and then I don't have to watch it because I know I'm not going to be able to.
Yep.
So yeah, so the first Dynamite of 2022 drew a .43 rating in the key demographic, which was up 16.21% from last week's .37. This week's demo rating represents 560,000 viewers. And let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, good
Hey,
stuff.
no,
Good stuff.
there is one thing I do want to give AEW credit for that world title match between Heyman Adam Page and Brian Danielson is the camera angles that they use made it feel like it was that big fight that you anticipated. It
Yes.
gave it that big fight feel.
Yep, and that's one of the early things that we talked about on Over the Barricade. Back when it was just me even, I had mentioned that the production team needed to step their game up if they ever wanted to compete with WWE seriously. And so far, they have been stepping their game up a little bit. Here's another fun fact. The Dynamite TBS premiere ranked number 2 on the cable top 150 this week in the 18 to 49 key demographic. Now, in general, on viewership for the week, they ranked number 32. Let's see here. Anything else here? This week's Dynamite. This is very important. This is the most important statistic that I'm going to read in this whole segment. Year
Okay.
over year is important. Year over year growth. From week to week, you will fluctuate because every week's different, stuff's happening. But what matters most is year over year growth. Do you have more people watching this year than you did last year? And boy, do they have more people. This week's Dynamite viewership was up 52.6% from the same week in 2021. The key demo rating was up 72% from the previous year. That is a huge statistic. That is huge. That is big. That is a massive growth year over year. And again, they have off weeks and they have great weeks. But when your year over year reflects a positive like that, that means you're doing something right. That's what's
Oh, we
important.
even talked about it on this program in the past where, word of mouth from
Yep.
fans that have been in the arena watching shows starts to spread and says, gotta watch this. People who watch AEW at home. Oh, you gotta watch AEW. What about WWE? Yeah. They've been around, but you got to see what AEW is doing right because they are doing some things right, even though we have been critical of them in the past of things that they're doing wrong. They are doing things right.
Yep. 100%. Well, with that, let's go ahead and recap about what they've done right, what they've done wrong, and think about what we think they're going to do right. Let me go ahead and start this off with my livid talking point here. So, I don't remember exactly what episode it was, but there was an episode where the entire show, from the start of the program, they were teasing a surprise. At the very top of the show, they said, later tonight, we're going to have a major surprise announcement from Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm.
And this was amidst like the heat between the Briscoes and FTR. If you're following the online, they're having like a huge online feud right now between the Briscoes and FTR. And this was like right when that was really hitting a boiling point. So it's like perfect timing. And you had it was like either a big special coming up or something. I don't remember what it was, but because I was sick. But the whole night long, they teased the big announcement. And at the end of the broadcast, they had it was the night where the Pinnacle were all in the ring. It was either the
Mm-hmm.
Pinnacle or just FTR. But FTR was in the ring. And do you know what the announcement ended up being? Do you remember?
Oh, I've forgotten to be honest.
Well, that's because it was a forgetful announcement. It was the announcement that next week on Dynamite, we were going to get CM Punk, Darby Allin, and Sting versus MJF and FTR.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't do that. You just can't hype it up to the point where your viewers at home and audience in the arena are going, "Ooh, I wonder what it's going to be. I wonder who's going to show up," and then they go, "Oh, we're gonna have a 6-man tag match." That was your big announcement. You could have just told us at the opening of the show. We would have been fine with it.
I was not happy. You
Uh,
spent, I think it was on a Rampage, maybe. I don't know. No, it couldn't have been on a Rampage. It had to be on a Dynamite because otherwise it'd have been spoilers. But you spent the entirety of the show hyping up this announcement. And through multiple points in the show, they continued to hype the announcement. All of that. And you announced the match? A simple, regular match? Like, excuse me? I was livid.
it's something they could have announced, in between matches. It
100%.
wasn't necessary for them to announce it when they did.
One thing I'm noticing about Tony Khan is, and he's doing a lot of things right, but one thing he's really doing is he's blowing small things out of proportion. And he's really got to get that under control, because like the other day he compared Jade Cargill's undefeated streak to Goldberg's, and I'm like,
No,
absolutely
not.
were you watching when Tony, did you watch Goldberg's streak? Did you see any of it? What part of this do you think is anything like that? Do you understand, Tony, the impact that Goldberg, as much as people will give him like flack, rightfully so, but as much as people will give him that was a different time in wrestling. That was back when people still believed it was real. And you have to understand the impact that Goldberg had on professional wrestling in that time. And you want to suggest that Jade Cargill, again, no offense, Jade, you're doing a great job. I think you're working really hard. Love it. But you want to suggest that Jade Cargill has even a fraction of the impact that Goldberg had? But no, you don't even want to say she had a fraction. You said you wanted to say that it is equivalent to Goldberg? My guy.
You can't compare the two.
No.
You cannot compare the two. It's like comparing apples and oranges. You cannot compare the two.
First of all, most people are not as forgiving as we are. Most people don't even like Jade Cargill at all. You and I, we're mature and we can see some good things in there, so we're willing to give those leniencies. But like, everyone loved Goldberg. Everyone loved Goldberg.
I mean, even to this day, when he makes appearances for WWE, fans are still chanting Goldberg, even if some of it is piped in from WWE themselves.
I mean, shit, I still do.
In the arena chanting Goldberg.
I still do, and I'm at home.
Anytime I hear his theme, it's like Goldberg. And even if the Goldberg chant isn't included in the theme, you hear it in your head because you heard it so many times.
Yes.
Dun 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 dun.
It was a classic theme. The theme, that man was in peak physical condition. That dude was a bad ass. Goldberg was the man. And here's the thing. Again, this is the thing. This is classic wrestling, where Goldberg was the kind of guy that he was so believable because you look at him and you think, I don't want to pick a fight with you. Orange Cassidy, I could pick a fight with. Like it's Jade Cargill. Now, Jade Cargill has a very impressive physical stature. So, like, let me be clear on that. She is 100% there from a physical standpoint. And I'm sure, for other females, it's very intimidating. Shit, for some males, it's pretty fucking intimidating, if I'm gonna be honest with you. But it's just not the same impact. Everyone as a whole, when Goldberg first came out, when Goldberg first did his thing, everybody was about Goldberg. That was the big deal. And he was a big deal for a very long time.
Yeah, WWE tried to copy that formula with Goldberg with other superstars, and it
never
didn't
worked.
Have the same impact.
It has not since Goldberg has that worked the same. You know why? Because Goldberg was a very special total package, because you had like you said, the theme song, you had the physical element, you had, it wasn't even just the physical, it was his face. his face.
The intimidation.
Yes, that man could put on the face, and it was perfect. And it was the police escort, you know, like the kicking the
You
door
know,
open.
pounding on the door too.
Yes, 100%. There was
And
just
then
something different.
how they would follow him from backstage to the ring, his pyro, the music, and then the moment he stood in the ring and looked at his opponent, you knew he was going to give them the spear, and then the jackknife,
Jack Jack Hammer.
jackhammer. Sorry, jackhammer.
No
Sorry.
Kevin Nash. But yeah, no, 100%. And speaking of
You knew
Kevin
what
Nash,
you
and
knew
then
what
of
I meant.
course Kevin Nash came in and screwed it all up.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no, it was special. So I think Tony needs to get a little bit of a reality check on what they're doing. I'm not saying AEW is not special. They are special. I'm not saying they aren't changing things. They are changing things. But he is continuously comparing things to things that aren't. You can't do that. I forget what group it was. I think he said it was the Elite. He compared it to the NWO, and I'm like, stop. Stop.
Well, it was like when Rampage and SmackDown competed for that brief period of time that one Friday, and he was bragging about the ratings. It's like, whoa, 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 slow your roll, dude.
Yep. Calm down. Calm
You
down.
weren't even competing with them from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. You only competed them for a small fraction of that time.
Yeah.
Slow your roll, and it came back to bite him.
It did. It did. And now, and here's another thing, to be fair. So you want to know who is comparable to the end? Who was, I should say was, because it's not really a big deal anymore. But it actually kind of makes him even more comparable. What faction was comparable to the NWO was the Bullet Club.
Bullet Club?
The Bullet Club, which obviously the Elite stemmed from, but the Bullet Club, now that's something that took wrestling by storm. Every wrestling fan knew and knows what the Bullet Club was. Like, everybody, you could not get away from the Bullet Club. All the WWE fans were clamoring for the Bullet Club to come to WWE. The Bullet Club made a huge impact. And they did it in another freaking country. Like, they weren't even here. They weren't even here. You couldn't even, like, easily watch them here. Total
and if you
different
did
story.
watch them, you had to get a subscription to do it.
Exactly. And you know, because back then it wasn't like available in English or anything. Like, you had to know how to do it. So totally different impact. That right there is comparable to the NWO. The NWO did what they did in this country. Bullet Club did it in another freaking country with people who you couldn't even watch and probably had never even seen. But you heard about it, you saw it, you found out about it, and you were hooked. Bullet Club was like NWO. The Elite, yeah. I love you. I love the Elite. Love me some Elite. Not the NWO.
You had guys like AJ Styles and Finn Balor in the Bullet Club amongst many other superstars.
Yep. And I think, I know. And he was comparing the arrival of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson to the arrival of Hulk Hogan in WCW. And again, I'm like, dude.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, you have to understand the difference, the impact that had in the time. You were talking apples to oranges, my guy. Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole arriving was big. Don't get me wrong. It was big. You know the difference? Everybody expected them to come. Everybody expected it.
When Hogan came out at Bash of the Beach, when that tag match was going on, you had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus Sting and Macho Man, or was it Lex Luger and Macho Man?
I don't know. I'm not going to correct you.
I know I made a mistake there, but the point I'm trying to make here is when Hogan came out, everybody thought he was out there to help Macho Man and the guys when he was there to side with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. That was the formation of the NWO. You want to know why that made an impact? Because up until that point, no wrestling fan, no casual fan had ever seen Hogan turn heel.
Yes.
He was the top baby face all the time.
And not only that,
and until that point,
he was the top WWF guy all the
He was
time.
the top WCW guy when he came in.
Right.
He
But
immediately took the top spot when he came in.
like he was in that time the number one most popular wrestler in the world. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Hulk Hogan has always been, whether among wrestling fans or not, but among the average population, Hulk Hogan has to be all time most if not the most popular, top three at the least. You know, just because of the impact that he had in that time frame. I'm not saying Adam Cole isn't popular. I'm not saying Bryan Danielson isn't popular, but nobody has that impact that Hulk Hogan had back then. Everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Hogan even had a TV show going on at that time called Thunder in Paradise. He was in movies
I
at
was about
that
to say he was
time.
in
So
Rocky
people
3.
knew, yeah, people knew who he was. From Rocky 3 to, WWF, all the way to WCW, and the various TV shows and movies he would show up in.
Yep.
Heck, he
So
had his own animated series.
he had everything, dude. He had everything. He was the
Yeah.
mega star. So no, I'm sorry. It's not comparable to Hulk Hogan. It's not.
Even today, when you say Hulk Hogan, everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody does an impression of Hogan. Even I do one, brother.
If you were to walk down a street in America, any street, and ask 10 people, do you know who Hulk Hogan is? If not all 10, I guarantee you majority would say yes. If you were to ask those same 10 people, again, this is not wrestling fans, this is average people, who's Adam Cole? I don't know. Who's Bryan Danielson? I don't know.
I don't know.
Who's Hulk Hogan? Oh, yeah, I know Hulk Hogan. It's a different story.
Who's Stone Cold?
Right, exactly.
Who's The Rock?
And I'll say this.
Macho Man. Ooh, yeah, dig it.
And I'll say this, and people can hate me if they want to, but as popular and well known as Stone Cold is, there are still people who would know Hulk Hogan's name and not Stone Cold's.
What? Are you saying that there are people out there who don't know who Stone Cold is? They don't know that he's going to walk down that aisle, step into that ring, and whip some ass? Is that what you're saying, son?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm just 100%. There are people. Hulk Hogan will go down in history as one of, if not the most popular, well-known is the key. Well-known amongst the general population wrestlers.
There's only one person I can think of right now during this broadcast that even is at the same level as Hulk Hogan, and that person, yes, you got it. The People's Champion.
Not this guy.
The one. No, not Cena.
The Rock.
Not Cena. Leader of Team Brilliant. The leader of the millions and millions of Rock fans.
Yes. The Rock is definitely up there simply for the reason of he's become a movie star. Mm-hmm. He's become a pop culture phenomenon. He's done the same thing that Hogan did and the same thing that John Cena is doing. But he has been, of the three, the most successful in his non-wrestling endeavors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say it's either Hogan or Rock, and maybe modern day times, like now, The Rock might have surpassed Hogan. So I'd say it's The Rock, Hulk Hogan, John Cena. Top three most well-known among the general population, so including wrestling fans and non-wrestling fans. I'm just saying, if you went to some third world country and started doing, like wrestling stuff, they would probably know one of those three people, even in a third world country. I'm just saying. Like, but anyway, we have a little bit of time left, so let's kind of go over our predictions of because we mentioned it throughout the show that we thought that the Winter's Coming, the New Year's Smash, all those things, the shows in between were fairly good, so we really have covered that. Let's go ahead and talk about our predictions for tonight and what we think that's going to have an impact on in the future.
And I'm gonna give this spot a Stone Cold Stunner.
There you go. Hit him with the stunner.
Get out of here, son. You're not wanted here.
Not
If
at
you want
all.
to see me stun his ass, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and talk predictions for tonight. What do you see happening? I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like it's a pretty predictable card.
I see Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD going over.
Yeah, that's
Riho.
100%
I don't see Riho winning.
No. This is a match that's going to just continue to solidify how dominant Britt Baker is before she does end up losing the title to either Ruby Soho or Thunder Rosa. It's going to be one of those two people. Those are the only two people who can do it. So this is just going to be one of those other things.
And as we saw just last night, there's now some tension being laid between Britt Baker and her two compatriots.
And that's going to be what does end up causing her to lose the title. Is going to be those two, either not helping her. She's going to be planning on them helping her, and they won't. It's going to be something like that. But yeah, ultimately, she's going to lose the title to either Ruby Soho or Thunder Rosa, and that's going to be how that goes.
It's going to be because of Anna Jay and Rebel.
Yep. Speaking of
last night,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, speaking of tension between, a leader of a faction and their lackeys, something that's really gotten me excited in recent memory is the continuing build of "This is war." Mr. Wardlow, that is going to be a really awesome turn when it does happen. Again, total definitely giving me Triple H Batista vibes, but I am loving every moment of it. And I think they're doing it. I think they're doing it just right. The crowd is buying into Wardlow every week.
Yeah, they are. So that turn is going to come. We just have to tune in to find out when it's going to be.
Yeah. And honestly, if Tony wanted to compare somebody to Goldberg, I'm still not saying this is it, but Wardlow is more comparable to Goldberg than Jade Cargill. Just for the simple fact that the crowd's into it. Big difference. Crowd's into Wardlow. But yeah, so Wardlow's definitely it because the crowd loves it. The power bombs, it's great. So when he does eventually turn fully, it's going to be a really fun time. He's going to be a great competitor. Been enjoying that.
Who knows? It could be soon. It could be within the next Dynamite. It could be within the next Rampage. It could be a couple weeks, a month from now.
I'm interested to see how they're going to do him versus Punk because he's been really popular lately and he's been on a roll. I really don't want to see him lose to Punk, but I also don't want to see him be the first person to beat Punk either. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's very interesting to me.
That's completely up to them.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how they go with it. But getting back to Battle of the Belts, Ricky Starks obviously is going to win versus Sidal. That's not a question. I think they're going to put on a good, fun, maybe 15-minute match and keep it moving. And then you've got the interim TNT title with Dustin Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. And this one, I know that Sammy's going to win. But I'm kind of hoping that Dustin would win, honestly.
I would like to see Dustin win and have one more championship run. Yes, I know it's a mid-card title, and he's never won a world title, but I would love to see him have one more run with the belt.
Well, and the thing that I'm liking about it is you're going to have him win the title, and then Cody's going to come back and be like, well, hey, you're just going to kind of, thank you for holding the place, but I'm back now, and I am the rightful champion, so, I'm sure we don't need to do anything. And Dustin's going to be like, what are you talking about? I'm the interim champion. Like, no, I want to fight you. And Cody's going to be like, what do you mean? You were supposed to do this for me and just let me go. And it's going to be like contributing further to Cody's heel turn when it finally happens. So I'd kind of like to see that route. I feel like that's the better writing route rather than getting another Cody versus Sammy. Don't want to see it. Got no interest in see it. Dustin versus Cody.
Don't need to see
it.
Oh
yeah. Let me see that. So I really want to see Dustin win it, but I don't think that they're going to be that creative. I think they're going to go the predictable route.
Well, I guess that's one reason to tune in tonight to see what they do for that match, to see who gets the TNT Championship, even if it's for a short period of time. You know, that's why they want us to tune in.
That's it.
Even though I don't feel that there's a legitimate reason to stay tuned in, that's one of the reasons to tune in, I guess.
Yeah, it's really that, and just seeing Dr. Britt Baker DMD perform. So
Yeah.
that's the only reasons. But yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun show. I think it's gonna be a good show. I'm excited to see what the house show card looks like. See who we get for that. I'm really hoping to see CM Punk at least come out and talk. It can be really sad if we don't get any CM Punk, to be honest with you. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
We will see. But well, with that, do you have any closing comments, my friend?
No, let's just see what happens tonight at Battle of the Belts and how that affects going into this new week with Dynamite and Rampage.
We shall. We shall see what the future holds. 2022, looking bright so far for AEW. I'm here for it. You're here for it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Over the Barricade podcast. I'm still going to say podcast. We are no longer actually a traditional podcast. We're going to be a YouTube live broadcast with our content flowing throughout the week. So if you can't make it to the live show, while we do encourage you to make it, we will be talking with you now again. Since we're not doing, the recordings for the podcast, live commenters will be welcome. We will talk to you. We will answer your questions, all that good stuff. Don't have to worry about the email anymore. So yeah, we're here for it. We're happy to be here, and make sure that you follow Pacific 414 on YouTube and Twitter. His channel has all kinds of different pop culture events, reviews, box score, all that kind of stuff. He gives his thoughts on episodes, movies, all kinds of stuff. So it's always a good time, and he's also on Twitch playing some games from time to time. Myself,
and I am posting my link to my YouTube channel into the chat.
Perfect. Myself, you can check me out on Twitter at QuidmanJenkins. You can follow us at BarricadeCast on Twitter, and I'm on Twitch myself, but also some big news. I am going to be this year, very soon, starting up a YouTube channel of my own where I'm going to house all kinds of different content. It is called Red Mage Productions. For those who are not in the know, a Red Mage is a jack of all trades, master of none. I have a little bit of a situation. I'm unable to really stay focused on any one particular thing for longer than a certain time, and often, I'll start something up like a thing on my Twitch channel. I would go from being, okay, I'm going to be focused on this thing, and then I do that for a little while and be focused on nothing but that thing, and then I'd be like, oh no, I'm done with that thing. I didn't get to where I wanted to be, but I'm done with it. I'm going to move on to this thing. Now I'm only focused on this thing. So I am due to this problem that I am the definition of a red mage, because I can never stay on something long enough to master it, but I'm pretty good at a lot of things. So Red Mage Productions is going to give me the outlet that I need to effectively deliver the kind of content that I'm going to be able to deliver. Okay. So that's what I've got going on for me, and that will be coming very soon.
Very nice.
But
very nice. Well, when it's official, I'll be your first subscriber. You know it.
Appreciate it, my good friend. I really do, for sure. And hopefully I can get you on some content for that too. I'll be doing all kinds of stuff. Some of the things I have planned are, some Let's Plays. I've got my buddy Professor Watts is going to be doing some Elder Scrolls Online roleplay videos with me. So we're going to be doing, some adventures in Tamriel where we are acting as our characters. I've got all kinds of stuff in mind that I'm really just kind of thinking about. So, and it could even go into the form of some reviews as well, which I'd love to have you a seasoned reviewer for.
And I'm going to tell you this from my own experience, especially in this past year, you are going to meet a lot of great people on this platform. A lot of people that will be willing to help you.
I'm hoping so, man. I'm sure. I'm here for it. I'm ready, and I'm excited for this new chapter. So, well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. Look for the highlights coming this week, and we will be back next Saturday. We might we'll talk about time and everything. We might go back to the normal time if that works best for you, or if something
So
else
whatever
is.
time, whatever time you need me for the live stream, I will be there.
All right, bet. Well, we'll look into that, and we'll be back next week, folks. In the meantime, I'm Quidman Jenkins.
And I am Pacific 414.
And we are Over the Barricade. We wish you a fantastic week, and we look forward to seeing you